G'day YouTube, welcome to another episode of the Friday Vape Club. As always, your host Squidly back for another review for you. How are you all doing? Well, today we have got another little pod system. This is the Druga Narada Pro. If you remember, a couple of weeks back I took a look at the Druga Narada. Well, that was a little bit of an older product. Augvape have now released the Druga Narada Pro. So we're going to take a quick look around this thing. We'll talk about the specs, take a look at the packaging, and then we'll give it a vape. So stick around, watch this video. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already subscribed. Don't forget to smash that like button for me, and follow all my social media links down below. Let's get into this. Alright, so here we have a closer look at that Druga Narada Pro. So a couple of specs on this thing. It is 82 millimeters tall, it is 40 millimeters wide, and it is 18.5 millimeters deep. It does have a 950 milliamp hour battery. It does 5 to 30 watts. Yeah. It is made of zinc alloy, which is the frame section here. And then you've got PCTG, which I'm assuming is the plastics for the pod and the panel. The other cool thing about this is it does have a firmware update. So you can update the firmware to give you variable voltage and also temperature control. So you've got that ability to do that if you want to. I like variable wattage. I only use wattage, so that just suits me to a T. The pod system itself holds 3.7 mils of liquid, and it does come with two different coils. You get the 1 ohm and you get the 0.4 ohm coil. So let's take a quick look around it. You do have a 510 drip tip, so you can put your own drip tips in there if you want. To remove the pod, you simply just slide it out. You've got your connections down there, and then underneath your coil. Your coil does easily come out. You just grab hold of this little tab and you pull and slide the coil out. There's O-rings on the coils. Makes it really snug, nice and fit. No leaking at all, no issues. On this side of the pod, you have got your fill port to fill your juice up. It is a massive fill port, so you'll have no issues getting massive tips in there. And then around this side of the pod is your airflow. So the airflow comes in here, travels down, goes underneath, and then up through the coil. So when it is in this position, it is fully open, and it is very simple to just grab it and slide it. And then you can see you can close it off. I've just been rocking it fully open. To slide the pod back in, done, and it clicks in place. Up the top here, you do have a little screen. It does tell you how many watts you are vaping, your battery level indicator, and your resistance. To change the wattage, you simply turn the potentiometer, and you can see it goes up and down in 1 watt increments. This potentiometer is also your fire button, and it is nice and clicky and easy to use. I do love just playing with this. It's pretty awesome. Love potentiometers. Down this side there is nothing. Underneath you have got your USB charging port. And that is it. Not much to this thing. Very simple, very easy to use. Been loving it. All right, so let's take a look at the packaging. Here we have a closer look at that packaging. We've got the Druga Narada Pro, a collaboration with VAPER. That's what it looks like on the back, usual back of box bullshit, but let's check out the contents. In the packaging, you do receive a warranty card. You do get a user manual. You do get a USB charging cable. Then you get the 0.4 ohm mesh coil head. You can also buy the RBA section for the Druga Narada. And this is it here. I'll show you how it kind of all goes together. But you get spare O-rings, you get the little screwdriver, and you do get a bag of the spare little screws. All right, this is that RBA section closer up. So they give you this little mount so it does fit in the Druga when you go to install your RBA section, or install the coil in your RBA section, I should say. It's pretty straightforward. You can see that there's your wicking ports right there, your airflow underneath, and it is a two-piece section. So you grab the base and unscrew the top, and there you go. So you can see the coil that I have installed. Underneath that coil is the airflow, and there's your little screws. It's got some little lips to hold the coil leg in place when you screw those screws down. It's got some pretty decent wick ports. That is a 0.6 ohm mouth to lung coil from Click Coils in Indonesia. So I haven't actually used this yet. I put the coil in and then it took me so fucking long. So I couldn't be bothered. Put the top back on, chucked it back in its box and went, fuck that. Just a pain in the ass. Really is a pain in the ass. So the reason why I say this is a pain in the ass is because they give you this sort of platform deck. They don't give you anything to attach to the bottom to put it onto a regular 510 connection. Instead, you have to use the actual Druga itself. Now, when I first saw this, I thought, oh, that's a really cool idea, until you actually start to try and use it. To get your screwdriver down this side here and to see what that coil leg is doing, it makes it very difficult when you're up against the back of the actual mod itself. So I would have loved to have been able to put this on my regular ohm reader and fire it that way and install the coil. It would have made it a lot easier and a lot less fiddly. So Augvape, can you sort something out? Help a brother out. Give us something. Give us an adapter. All right, the Druga Narada Pro. Let's jump back up top. Let's do the pros, the cons, the price, and if I would give this the best or the worst device ever. All right, so there we had a quick look around the Druga Narada Pro. Let's take this thing for a toot, shall we? I have got the 1 ohm coil in here at around 13 wattos. Inside is some Hunting Clouds Sour Blackberry Salt Nick. 50-50, 35 milligram Salt Nicks. Oh, perfection. All right, so here we go. The airflow is wide open. Just knock that airflow down to around about halfway. Oh yeah, that's some good shit. All right, so let's talk about the flavor, cloud production, and airflow.
Flavor, cloud production, airflow.
The flavor of this thing is pretty great. The standard coils that you get, the 1 ohm standard pre-made coils, some pretty decent flavor. I was expecting some pretty decent flavor because of the original Narada, but this one, it doesn't let you down. So that's pretty cool. The airflow is pretty loosey-goosey for a mouth to lung. When it's wide open, it's not so mouth to lung. You can kind of direct lung it if you wanted to. It doesn't have that pod feel, that pod restrictive, very mouth to lung cigarette or very, very tight draw. This is a little bit open. And given the way that the air flows, it does sound a little bit, not turbulent, but loud. Hear it? So because the airflow is coming in here, doing a right angle, heading down, hitting another right angle, and then turning another right angle and coming up through your coil, you do get some turbulence, some loudness to the airflow. And the cloud production, as you saw, produces some pretty decent clouds. So that's your flavor, cloud production, airflow done. Let's get into the pros and cons.
Pros.
Right, so there are some pros for this. The general build quality is pretty spectacular. I do think this is well put together. The pods are easily removable and they slide in quite easily and nicely. Fantastic, I love that. You don't have to worry about clicking things in place or pushing buttons to release pods. You just snap in, snap out, awesome. You've got your fill port on the side, so you don't have to worry about juice leaking out through the coils. On leaking coils, I haven't had any leak out at all because you've got the bottom fed coil. Sometimes they are prone to leaking through this coil base section. Glad to say it is bone dry, so that's a pretty bloody wicked win. The other thing, I love the little screen. I love being able to see how many wattos I am doing. That's fantastic. Love the battery level indicator. Again, that is something really cool. And the potentiometer. Love a potentiometer. I find myself just sitting here flicking it. I just love flicking it, flicking the bean. It's just cool. Other cool pros for this is you can get an RBA section. So if you wanted to buy mouth to lung coils and install your own coils, you can do that. I have just really been enjoying this 1 ohm coil and it has lasted me 2 weeks plus. Doesn't show any signs of slowing down at all. So good coils too, Augvape. Very good coils. There are a couple of cons though, so let's talk about the cons. I don't really have any cons for the actual coils and the pod itself or the actual battery. The only cons that I do have is with that RBA section. So the RBA section, you've got this little insert that goes into where your pod would sit and then you build your coil that way. I don't like that. With the original Narada, you had like a little insert kind of screwy section that you put on the base and you could put it on your own ohm reader. I preferred that a lot more. It made it a lot easier to build on. And Augvape, I think you need to add something like that again for us because the way that you've designed this with that other plasticky pod section to slot in here to build on, it doesn't work. It's too fiddly. It's too close to the side here. It makes it very awkward to install coils. And the second con, also with that RBA deck, is those screws and trying to get a mouth to lung coil in those screws and get it held in place is damn near impossible. It's fucking fiddly and you need to work out some other better system because it's just a pain in the ass. It's so much easier with a plug and play coil, and why wouldn't you use a plug and play coil when they are so good? So they were the 2 cons that I really had for this. Apart from that, it's a decent fucking vape. So let's talk about the price for this thing.
Price.
What is the Augvape Druga Narada Pro going to set you back? A little bit of Google foo around the internet, and I found it on sale for $40 in the States. So you're probably looking around that $50, maybe $60 mark here in Australia. That's pretty decent for a little pod system like this. You're getting some pretty decent flavor, you're getting some long battery life, you're getting a shit ton of juice capacity. What's there to complain about? So if I had to give this a rating out of best device ever, worst device ever, with nothing in between, just best or worst, I kind of give it that best category because there's nothing really wrong with it. It's been an absolute joy to use. So thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Like always, please like, please share, please subscribe. And remember YouTube, keep it cloudy.
A Gunner Slug production.